still remember that day clearly when I just downloaded the language learning app called HelloTalk. At that time I had absolutely no idea what series of events this seemingly trivial decision of just downloading some random app, what series of events it would kick off. Because after having installed this app, I was flooded with messages from Chinese people. Because the way this app works is you select your target language, which was Chinese, and then it will connect you with people who learn your native tongue, which is German in my case. And I was just shocked and surprised to see how many Chinese folks there are who are interested in learning German. I just couldn't comprehend it, and I was just over the moon for the next couple of days and weeks. And this is where my obsession with learning Chinese and diving into the culture started. Now, 2.5 years later, I can lay back and look at it. I had several language exchange partners along the way. Some of them were just short-term, where I just learned a little from. Others became long-term friends who I still meet here in China. And back then I was still very active with uploading videos on this channel here, but it became less frequent the more I just wanted to focus on this journey with learning Chinese, and the more I just wanted to immerse myself into this new environment. Now I reached the point where I want to share my knowledge. Now I feel somewhat qualified because I have hundreds of hours in experience teaching and explaining German and English concepts to my Chinese friends. And at that time I developed a sense for it, to know or how to distinguish what is just splitting hairs and what is truly important. Often I don't even bother or don't even want to muck around with explaining some high-level vocabulary which is way over the top, and I just say, forget it, never mind, you don't need it now. Instead, don't neglect the big picture. And most importantly, I myself have thousands of hours experience in learning languages myself. Of course, English, which was my main target while living in Australia, but now Chinese while I'm here in China. And this is what makes a good teacher for me. Empathy. I know. Every teacher says that to promote themselves, but let me take it a step further. When I hear the word teacher, I don't necessarily think of a profession. Like, it's not my first association. Sure, I don't have a degree, I know that, but there are a bunch of qualified teachers out there who just suck at what they are doing. They are not meant to be teachers by nature. We all had this one teacher, or more of them, in school where we thought, what are you doing here? Teacher to me sounds more like a character trait. Some people are not meant to be teachers. Some, however, do have that certain born skill or gift or passion to instruct other people. It kind of reminds me of something that David Goggins said, even if I know it's a different context. But in one of his interviews, he once said that he can only be as good in mentoring other people, in hardening their minds and overcoming their laziness and going out every day and grind. He can only be as good in doing that as he himself constantly puts in the effort. So how can you motivate people all the time if you never do anything in your life? And so I project that same kind of philosophy onto teaching. So being good at teaching a language, it requires you to learn languages all the time. And this is the only thing that I'm good at. The only thing I'm passionate about is to learn languages. I'm literally living next to my dictionary. I ask DeepSeek and ChatGPT all the time for authentic expressions, and I go and use them in daily life and get real life feedback, try and error, and all that stuff all the time while I'm living here in China. However, I don't really like the word to teach. I wrote a post on it here, I'll put up the translation as well. And it got lots of attention. Many people who have a similar experience, they totally agreed on it, saying that I cannot teach you a language. Only you yourself, you can. Because only you are in control of your brain, which information you allow to enter, and you're in control of the words you say, so practicing your spoken language. So the way I see it as a teacher, my biggest responsibility is to provide guidance, to direct it into a certain direction, while you yourself have to put in so much work yourself, such as input, output, reviewing the mistakes from last time, and so on. So to cut it short, first of all, I want to teach German to newbies and also intermediate speakers. Speaking of newbies, I have a very particular strategy because I have observed many Chinese learners along the way, and I know what actually helps. I am literally an eyewitness. So I've experienced both people who just learn without comprehension, but also people who acquire and actually apply that stuff and sound like as if they have lived in Germany for a long time, whereas they never went there. So I know the key points. And on the other hand, intermediate speakers or upper intermediate People who have a very wide vocabulary already, but just need more real-life exposure. Listening and speaking are just entirely different. Auch wenn jemand alles versteht, was ich auf Deutsch sage, bedeutet das nicht unbedingt, dass er diesen Satz, wie ich ihn gerade geäußert habe, genauso formulieren würde. Er wird trotzdem sehr viele Fehler, Satzbaufehler und Grammatikfehler haben. I have one student so far who is this exact case, is a Chinese dude living in Germany who is practicing his spoken German with me. And what I want to do here is just to have conversations, but conversations that go really deep, where I ask my students very specific and purposeful questions to trigger their thinking, but also to make them stumble, because I want to find these mistakes, I want to filter them, so I can give back like real life feedback on the spot. So this is on Preply, where I can only teach German alone, but I also set up an italki account where I have both German and English. Even though I might be C2 and understand 100% of everything that's going on in English and I have zero language barrier whatsoever, it doesn't mean that I'm a native. I know that I'm aware and I acknowledge that. However, here I want to help a certain community, which is the Chinese community. Having lived here for almost a year, I have a very big heart for my Chinese friends who struggle with learning English, which is so foreign and alien-like to them because it has nothing in common with their native tongue, with Chinese. And to be honest, your English doesn't have to be the most standard and perfect PR British English, native speaker, high academic English. Let's face it, Chinese people just suck at speaking English. For a long time I used to think that Russians are the worst at speaking English. Very hot potato.
Very hot potato.
But now I believe that Chinese people are either the same or even worse.
Woman is my neighbor. How are you today? Gulu is my...
So I have lots of experience here. 因为我已经教过了很多中国的朋友们，所以呢，我非常理解他们的困难，他们的挑战。But I also know the common mistakes Chinese people make when learning a language in general and their approach. 我感觉大部分的中国人他们学英语的时候，他们犯的错误大概是一样的。当然，我不想要一概而论，但是经常他们会太过分注重背单词，不过他们不知道如何把他们这些单词连在一起用。我也感觉经常这个是跟他们内敛的性格有关的，他们不敢说出来之类的。But I'm also well aware of the common mistakes made by Chinese natives when it comes to speaking itself, because they have that Chinese sentence logic installed in their heads. So some of these common mistakes include to eat medicine. I just hear it so many times, because in Chinese it's literally 吃药 to eat medicine. 然后中国人他们觉得可以把它直接从中文翻译过去，翻译成英语，但是当然英语里面它听起来超级奇奇怪怪的。And then another mistake is to open the air conditioner. 开空调。Well, I always tell my Chinese friends, it's turn on, turn off, not open and close. And for whatever reason, Chinese people always confuse German and Germany. So even yesterday, I was at an English corner, and somebody said, so you are from German? 为什么中国人他们会把这两个单词混淆？真的不懂。可能是因为 Germany 这个词儿的末尾那个 y，其他的国家没有，什么 France、Spain、Italy 有啊 ，Italy、Germany。I really don't get it. Anyways, I want to teach German to everyone who is interested, and I want to teach English to my Chinese brothers and sisters, and it doesn't matter if they're learning for IELTS or TOEFL or just want to improve their spoken English. I believe every Chinese just needs more speaking because this is what they like the most. I'm also working on a Chinese class right now because I finally reached that level where I can at least set people up and get them started in their Chinese journey. Everything from HSK1, like from 0 to HSK3, because I work with some very interesting methods and I use mnemonics to memorize characters. This is how I learned more than 2,000 characters. And I would like to teach that to other people, like one-on-one. So yeah, this is just like a short advertisement video, but I'll be dropping more videos now in the future. Also the video where I promote my Chinese class.